Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Buckeye Huddle post-game live show. I'm Mark Givler. Ohio State putting the finishing touches on what is looking to be a 70-0 win over Grambling. A blowout as expected, but I think things went really as well as they could have for Ohio State in terms of getting a lot of young guys into the game, getting different looks in there, letting Julian Sayin kind of let the ball rip in the first half there before he was taken out. And is obviously a tune-up game, a good, I guess, opponent to have after the gauntlet that they did last week with Texas. But not a whole lot of hard-hitting analysis probably on this one, as Ohio State got off to a very fast start and then just kind of kept pounding away, especially on the ground there in the second half, where they were able to showcase some of their young running backs. So. Looking like it's just about to be a 70-0 final here. We will throw the graphic up when the clock hits zero. But another win for Ohio State, 2-0 now, number one team in the country, coming off the Texas win. And there's going to be some things we can talk about today in terms of just some new things we saw out of this team. We saw them kind of open the game up for the offense in the first half. Ryan Day said we were going to see that during the week, admitted it was a conservative game plan against Texas last week. And so they as expected, they came out throwing the ball today, and then were able to build that early lead, get a lot of their starters out of the game. And we got to see not only backups, we got to see a lot of like third and fourth guys, a lot of true freshmen played in this game. So those are always, I think those are always fun for the fans. I think at the beginning of the year to see some of the freshmen get some action. I think a lot of people do like seeing that. So that was as planned today. They were able to do that. And it's final now, 70-0 Ohio State. A late touchdown by Sam Dixon, who actually is actually his first touchdown as a Buckeye, even though he's been in the program a few years. So that was the final score there for the Buckeyes. No reason to think they won't be number one again when the polls come out this week, especially with there's some chaos going on around the country right now. There's some games right now that are very much in doubt for some very highly ranked teams. So kind of an interesting, it was supposed to be a boring Saturday. It certainly was kind of a non-stressful Saturday if you're an Ohio State fan, but other teams are maybe having some stress where we didn't think they would right now. So we'll be checking in on that throughout the show, I guess, with some other happenings going on around the country. We will, of course, have Ryan Day when he gets to the podium, as always, and then we will, of course, turn it over to Tony and Tom at that point. But let's do the 3 and out first. Let's start with Julian Sayin. Sayin shines today. 15 consecutive completions to start the game, which I believe was a new Ohio State record. So very good start there for Julian Sayin. 4 touchdowns early in the game. Did throw that interception where he was late around the goal line. But overall, I think people got to see a lot of what Julian Sayin brings to the table today with his accuracy, with his ability to spin it, with his ability to throw it downfield with accuracy, and with his ability to throw it on time. So this is the kind of stuff we've always seen out of Sayin. I think now the fans were able to kind of see that today after they sort of had the training wheels on against Texas last week. So good start for Sayin. A positive momentum kind of weekend for Julian, just to kind of show everyone that he can do this, that he can put the game can be put on his arm, he can make throws, he can do all the things, but they don't have to hide him. But 18 for 19, again, started the game 15 out of 15, which is a record to start a game at Ohio State with your first 15 completions. 4 touchdowns on the pick. So he gets my game ball just because, again, we knew they were going to throw it around a little bit today. And we kind of wanted to see, how Sayin would look with this revamped offense, with this new offensive line, with the new running backs. And of course, the same veteran receivers for the most part, but still it's a new combination out there. And Julian Sayin, nearly perfect. So he gets my game ball. Was hard to really, it was kind of an easy one this week because there weren't there's a lot of guys who played a quarter or a quarter and a half. It wasn't like a lot of guys put 3 to 4 quarters out there and had like some dominant stat lines or anything like that. So it was kind of an easy pick this week to give the game ball to Julian Sayin. My second part of my 3 and out, which I liked today and was kind of hoping we would see today after last week, is we saw the wide receivers activated. So like Jeremiah Smith, huge first half. Carnell Tate, huge first half. They got Brandon Innes involved. So last week it was very much run the ball, protect the quarterback. Receivers did make it. Obviously, Carnell Tate made a great play last week on a touchdown, but this was a game where they really were able to activate those guys. Tate and Smith were on track for monster games had they played the full 4 quarters. So we got to see those guys all make plays. Brandon Innes got involved with 3 catches. Also, I believe had a carry early in the game as well. So he was getting his touches, and they spread the ball around to all the tight ends pretty much played. They spread the ball out to those guys. We saw a lot of big plays out of the tight ends. Jelani Thurman had one late. A touchdown late. So really good day for the tight ends and the receivers. But it was nice to get away from kind of the shell they were in last week against Texas and see these guys make the plays we know they can make. So that was, again, a big thing for me this week. I wanted to see, we knew this was going to be a blowout. We knew this probably was, wasn't going to be very competitive, but wanted to see Ohio State get those receivers involved in the passing games, get that timing worked out with Julian Sayin. And so that was kind of an A+ for me today on what those guys were able to do in that first half. Last thing in the 3 and out is the freshman performances. A lot of true freshmen impressed today. We got to see a lot of good things out of the running backs. Bo Jackson, Isaiah West, Fahim Delane was out there. Riley Pettyjohn was incredible. I'm going to get to Pettyjohn more here in a minute. But Zion Grady was out there. Epi Sitanale was out there. So the freshman defensive ends were getting reps. Just a lot of good things to see out there. We got the young receivers out there. Quincy Porter had some nice blocks out there on the perimeter. Even though he's not really a freshman, Mylan Graham, or not a true freshman, Mylan Graham out there making plays. That was nice to see as well. So a lot of the young guys, the offensive linemen, Jake Cook, Carter Lowe, a lot of those freshman offensive linemen were out there late in the game. Tavian St. Clair got his first action. So we got to see a lot of this true freshman class. And that, again, I think that's always fun for you guys to be able to watch the future of the program and, get your hot takes in there about, should Bo Jackson be playing more and, who's the best, receivers and, all this other stuff. But it was a good day for that, to get a look at the future of the program. And but I do want to get to Riley Pettyjohn specifically with the freshman, because I'm going to do a little bit of a spoiler alert here. I don't think I'm really surprising anybody by this, but it's very, very likely that Ohio State's losing its 2 starting linebackers after this year. This may be a 1 year. We may only get to see 1 year of Arvell Reese as a true starter at Ohio State. I just think the way he's playing right now and the physical measurables he's going to have at the combine and just everything else he can do, I think it's very likely Arvell Reese is going to be out after this year. Sonny Styles will be out after this year. Riley Pettyjohn is like reason number 1 that's not going to be a problem next year for Ohio State. He has been phenomenal since he stepped on campus, in the weight room, in workouts, in practice, in scrimmages. Everything we've heard about Riley Pettyjohn all offseason and seen of Riley Pettyjohn all offseason was extremely positive. He comes out today. He's hitting guys. He's forcing fumbles. He's running all over the place, making plays. This is what we've seen out of him in team stuff, but it's a whole different animal to do it against an opponent. But that's exactly what we've been seeing all offseason. And again, that's why, no one's like going to be happy that Arvell Reese is probably off to the NFL after this year, but I don't think anyone's going to be all that distraught about it, knowing what they've got behind them in Riley Pettyjohn. Peyton Pierce, obviously, as well, played very well today when he got a lot of run too. So that was very validating, I think, to see Pettyjohn out there for a lot of people who have been very high on him. Not just on our site, but fans and other media people have been very high on him throughout the offseason. So that was probably very validating for a lot of people today to see him go out there and be arguably the best player on the field in the second half of this football game today. So that's what everyone can look forward to. Devin Sanchez. I mean, I can go on and on with the names. They got a lot of true freshmen in that game today. And those are valuable reps. I know it's Grambling, and people are going to kind of huff and puff about that, and especially opposing fans, but there's only so many reps against your own teammates that you can take. Like at some point you have to go out there get some different looks, teams that are actively, trying to trick you and do some things against an opponent. So it's always nice to see those guys able to take what they've been doing in practices and what we've been hearing about them doing in practices and apply that to a game situation. So we're going to have some drive charts here to look at. It's going to be pretty. It's not going to be a very ugly drive chart. Last week's drive charts were kind of ugly, just the way that game played out. This week's drive charts, would you look at that? Look at those first three. 6 and 83, 1 and 87, 7 and 65 were the first three right out of the chute for Ohio State. All under 3.5 minutes. Sayin 10 for 10, 218 passing, 3 touchdowns. So again, like we talked about at the start of the show, very, very fast start for the Buckeyes today. And again, getting everyone involved, spreading the ball out, getting the receivers activated, and very, very different from last week where it was run the ball, stay in a shell, take some shots when we can. This week it was, nope, come out firing and then get the lead and then unleash the running backs. So we saw kind of a flip-flop in game plans, which would be expected given the opponents. But that is about as pretty of a drive chart as you'll see. And then in the next few drives, you hate that interception there at the goal line, but learning moment there for Julian Sayin. And again, 6 plays, 80 yards and a touchdown. Then they had the interception, and then it was 8 plays, 62 yards and a touchdown. Again, all these drives are under 3.5 minutes. We are waiting for Ryan Day. We're also waiting for the Grambling post game. I don't know if, I'm sure we'll get the head coach. I don't know if we'll get players or not, but we'll pass that out as we can as guys show up to the podium. Obviously, Ryan Day will take priority, and the Ohio State players will take priority. Let's move on through the drive charts. Third quarter, again, 9 plays, 76 yards, touchdown. 3 plays, 41 yards, touchdown. 8 plays, 53 yards, touchdown. So they took a little longer there in the third quarter, though. You got those drives at 3 minutes and 40 seconds, 4 minutes and 24 seconds. Took them a little longer to score there in the second half. But, again, other than that one little, wart on there with that INT, it is as pretty of a depth chart or a drive chart as you will ever look at. So all things were working today: running game, passing game, defense. Matt Patricia's defense shuts them out. Again, I know it's Grambling, but it was a shutout. They forced turnovers. They dominated again. This is what you would have expected them to do, and they went out and did that. So Matt Patricia sitting at 3.5 points per game given up so far through 2 games. I think everyone would have signed up for that before the season started. As we were all kind of curious what Ohio State's defense would look like with the new coordinator, and maybe even more importantly, what Ohio State's offense would look like with the new coordinator. Again, I thought Brian Hartline was able to have more tools at his disposal. Ryan Day last week very much was in charge of kind of putting the cuffs on everybody, and Brian Hartline had the freedom today to open things up a little bit. Offense was beautiful. It's just guys were running open, good play calling at the right times, and everything seemed to be working. So good day for the coordinators again, for the 2 new coordinators. And again, Buckeyes 70-0 if you're just tuning in here over Grambling. If you went out to if you went out to get a drink at halftime or whatever, that's fine. But you did miss some good action in the second half from the true freshman, as we mentioned earlier. Bo Jackson, big game for the Buckeyes. 108 yards on 9 carries for the true freshman. So very, very, very good debut there for Bo Jackson. Isaiah West looked very good as well. And again, a lot of other players getting in the mix. Another freshman I'd like to talk about a little bit is Nate Roberts, the freshman tight end. Again, they played 5 tight ends very early in the game. There's a point during the broadcast they had 4 tight ends in the game. I thought Jake Butt was going to faint. He was so happy, excited about that on the broadcast. But they got all these guys in the game, and they were able to work them into the passing game as well today. But Nate Roberts, again, they've been raving about Nate Roberts. He had another couple of key blocks on the goal line, for on touchdown runs. He's doing everything asked of him. He's lining up at fullback. He's lining up in line. He's lining up as like a wing back. He's doing everything asked of him so far. And this is a guy who I think, like a Riley Pettijohn, is a reason why you don't too much worry about who's leaving after this year, who may be coming back, who may not be at the tight end position, because you know things are going to be in good hands with Nate Roberts here moving forward. So as we wait for Ryan Day to kind of do his little post-game thing, we'll get to some comments after the press conferences. Just kind of let everyone know we will get to, I do see some comments in there. We will throw some of those up. Here comes Ryan Day. We're going to go to him.
All righty, we're going to start here in the front row with Tim May.
Yeah, we wanted to, like we talked about, be more explosive. You saw us play with tempo. That was good. The issues are always going to be there. It's just a matter of identifying what they are. There's no secret this was not a matchup game, and I got a lot of respect for coach. And I thought, their team played hard in this game. They were outmatched, talent-wise for sure. And I think he expressed that. But I give them a lot of respect for playing hard and playing for 4 quarters all the way to the end. And so a lot of credit to how hard they played. But I thought early in the game it was good to get the ball pushed down the field. I thought Julian really had some accurate throws. The ball came out on time. The spacing and timing was good. The protection was good. Good to see the defense get some turnovers, because that was an emphasis point for us to attack the ball. So we'll take a look at the film, and we still got a lot of work to do. We're in a race to get better, and that's it. So, but I do think coming out of it, there was a lot of good things coming off of last week. Just, it was heavy, big groupings and running and huddling. This was a little bit more spread out and tempo, which it's good to know that we can do both.
Spencer Holbrook.
I mean, it is what it is when you watch the plays. There were some plays where I felt like we had guys, pretty open, and there was other throws that, it was pretty contested throws that I thought he put it on the money. He's one play certainly he wants to have back, but we were, as you could tell, we were pushing the envelope a little bit to see how he would respond and throw those, because this is all for the first time for him, and no time for really learning on the job. We got to go. So we pushed the envelope, throwing the ball early and playing faster. So we'll look at it, but you watch it. You watch how quick the ball comes out of his hand, and you watch how accurate. Those were all positives for him.
Austin Ward.
Ryan, I realize this might be too open-ended for you since you haven't seen the film yet. As you leave here tonight, is there someone that you got in the game today that didn't last week that you thought flashed just top of mind?
I think there was a lot of guys that got in there on defense. Riley Pettijohn seemed to pop for sure. That was a big play in the backfield, which was great. Aaron Scott drove on a ball. I know they overturned it, but that was still a great play. You have to look and watch the film some more on offense. It was good to see some of the tight ends get in there, but also see the young running backs run. I thought Bo and Isaiah both ran hard, and it was good to see them, break some tackles and get some positive runs out there. And it was also good, to get Lincoln out there. I thought he looked good out there. He looked poised. He made some nice throws, made a couple runs. And Bryson Rogers made a couple nice plays, I thought, catching the ball and hanging on to it, which was great. Milan had a nice catch. So it was good to see a lot of those guys get on the field. And there'll be a lot of things that, the coaches will look at to look to improve. But they deserve a chance to play, and it's good to get them out there. And the more depth we can build, as we know, it's going to be important. It's a long run this season.
Real quick, before we go to the next question, Jeremiah Smith is going to be in the back here. Dylan Davis, go ahead.
Ryan, I know in the moment you probably didn't want to, I know you did want to see it, but as you look back on it now, that pick that Julian threw, is there a party that's glad that it happened just to see how he responds to things like that, to continue to build on the poise that he showed in week 1?
Yeah, you never want to see an interception, but it's good to have some of these learning moments to understand, just how it all works. And when you can get some of these like first time things, behind you, it is good. But that's it. No more interceptions. Not allowed.
All right, we're going to go to the left side here. Bill Rabinowitz and then Cameron Teague Robinson.
in the competition, what it wasn't what it was last week, but the defense to have a shutout. What did you learn about the defense today? What were your impressions of how it played?
Well, it was good to get our some of our depth in there. And when you put depth in, sometimes you expect a significant drop off, and that didn't happen, and that was a good sign.
Cameron Teague Robinson and then Rob Aller after that.
Ryan, obviously, kind of like Bill said, you weren't playing the Texas defensive line, but you saw some good runs from James and CJ when they were in there. I know you tried to throw the ball a little more in that first half than maybe you would have, but what did you see from those two in the run game that you didn't see a week ago?
I have to look at the film to see. I thought that everyone was running hard, but what we want to see is guys breaking tackles and then creating explosive runs. And I think there were some in there. I think there's some other ones that maybe we can look at to say, okay, how can we do this a little bit better? How can we break some of these tackles as we're getting to the second level? But when you're a running back, you're not tackled a whole bunch in preseason. So CJ's probably the most experienced out of the group. Well, he is. And then James, hasn't run a ton in a game, and Bo and Isaiah certainly haven't in college games. So it's going to be great to get on this film and use this as a learning experience.
Go to Rob Aller and then Patrick Murphy.
Yeah, Ryan, you said this is a mismatch. You're right about that. Do you tend in games like this to nitpick maybe even a little more as a coaching staff, because just not so much to keep them from getting big-headed, but just to get after them a little bit?
Well, the issues are always there, and it's not about the result. So if we're looking at the scoreboard, we're looking at the wrong thing. I mean, this is about, like, if we have a discipline issue, or if we have a lack of execution, or we have an assignment issue, or a ball security issue, or a lack of execution, that could, in a matchup game, it comes down to one play. And so if we're going to look at the scoreboard after a game like this, then we're setting ourselves up for failure. That's really bad. I don't think that's the way our guys are. I think they know. And so, when you're not in a matchup game, you're going to get graded very critically, because when you are in matchup games, one play could cost you. Now, the good thing is we played a game like that already. So it's not like we haven't done that, where in past, you get to about midway through the season, you haven't played a game like that. I think our guys understand that, especially the guys who have been around. I mean, you think about how we ended last year and how we started this year. I mean, these guys know. But all that being said, when you come out of games like this, you can't get a false sense of security, because the issues are always there. And it's our job to identify them and get them fixed.
Go to Patrick Murphy and then Joey Kaufman.
Ryan, I think coming off of last week, there was a possibility that you guys could be overconfident, come out a little flat. Maybe you come out, go right down the field. I know you said overmatched opponent, but how good is it to see the guys take this, like you talked about, and put it on the field?
Yeah, I was looking to see if we had a letdown in practice. I think Tuesday there was a general exhale I was a little concerned about, but I think it was more the physicality of the game than it was guys feeling like we've arrived. I think they know that this is a long, long season. I think our guys look at last year and know that this is, it's a long road all the way to December and January. So we're nowhere where we need to be. I thought Wednesday we came back in an excellent practice. There was good Christmas to it. There was energy to it. And then I thought, our 48 hours leading up to the game was pretty businesslike. So that was a good sign. But like you said, you got to go put it on the field. And regardless of your opponent, you can see good execution, whether it's, penalties or, assignments, spacing, timing. I mean, there's a Christmas to anybody you play. I thought it looked right on the field. We'll have to watch the film and confirm that, though.
Go Joey Kaufman and then to Jeff Gilbert.
You talked a little about putting more things on Julian's plate as the season goes along. What sort of things tonight do you feel like you were able to make, or did you feel like you did that today? And what sort of things was it handled maybe this week that didn't last week?
Yeah, you saw a lot of more RPOs. You saw a lot of the things coming out of his hand. We actually started to drive. I think maybe we were inside the 10, 20-yard line where we took a shot early and hit it. Down in the red zone, we were throwing it. We were really forcing the issue down there. And the more we're putting in his hands to manage the game. And I thought he did a nice job. There was one time where they did a nice job on defense of running to a coverage that there was nothing there. And he scrambled and made like 3 yards, 2nd and 7. That's good. That's good football. Didn't throw it into a crowd. I thought the first throw he made for the touchdown to Will was a really good throw. We talk all the time, if the defender's back's turned, he's wide open, and he 1-inched it right over the top of him, and Will made a great catch. But again, the timing, the spacing, all of that was crisp. And so we can build off of that.
All right, 2 more questions. We'll go to Jeff Gilbert, and then final question to Tony Girdman.
Yeah, Ryan, the tight end room has got to be pretty happy. They're getting a lot of balls coming their way. The production of them and just how that opens up everything more for you. What are you seeing there, and how important do you like this?
It can be a weapon for us moving forward. It gives us a lot more flexibility, not only in the run game, but also in the passing game, spreading you out, play action, in multiple groupings, which, we haven't done as much in the past. We've been mostly 11. We've added 12 here, but now you're seeing us do a little 13. And I think we did, 21 today. And so we have probably more flexibility than we've had in the past with these groupings. And, they're all athletic and they all can do multiple things. So that gives us, again, more flexibility. So as we start to build what this team looks like on offense, the tight ends are going to be a big part of it, as you can see.
All right, and last question to Tony Girdman.
You mentioned Riley Pettyjohn. When a guy is playing just a little bit and making plays in a game like this, what can that do in terms of building the confidence or confidence in the coaches and putting him in bigger games?
Yeah, you want to see how guys respond. Typically, you fall back to the level of your training. We talk about that all the time, but we've seen Riley in practice do some really good things, but you want to put him in the game to see how he responds. And when you see him make plays like that, in his first time on the field, it's a great sign for a young player.
All right, Coach, thank you. Appreciate it. We'll bring up Julian Sayin, and we got Caden Curry heading to the back. We will start right here with Bill Rabinowitz.
Julian, clearly the game plan was to open up the passing game. How do you think you played? How was it like? I mean, quite a contrast from last week. You didn't have much pressure, and you were nearly flawless.
Yeah, I think, we had a great scheme in our passing attack, and, the coaches did a great job of, dialing up some great plays, and off the line blocked well, receivers caught the ball well, running backs ran hard. And, we had some great plays, but, a couple mistakes we got to clean up.
All right, we're going to come over here to Spencer Holbrook.
Julian, do you think that obviously the competition level a little bit different, but do you think that this was a good step forward for you in your second start?
Yeah, I think, the whole week we kind of been talking about, last week's done with, and, how can we improve and how can we get better? And I think this week of practice was very important for us. And, showing up in this game, I think we took a good step forward and just getting better. And, it's all about how can we improve from week 1 to week 2 to week 3 and just keep stacking days.
Dylan Davis.
Have you ever completed 16 straight passes in your career before? And what's that feel like when you're on the field and you have that hot hand? Do you realize you have that hot hand?
I don't think I've done that before, but, I think it's just, when you get those completions kind of racking up, it builds confidence. And then, the energy from the other players in the offense, when they start seeing we're moving the ball down the field like that, the other guys are bringing energy.
Joe Nugent.
First touchdown pass to Will Kazmarek. What kind of weapon can he be for this team in the passing game?
Yeah, I think, Will, he's a great tight end, and that was a great route by him, great catch. And, our whole tight end room, we're very deep at tight end, and, they all have different skill sets, but they have a lot of impact on our offense. So, that was a great catch by him, and love to see it from him.
Front row, Clay Hall.
Julian, when you see Jeremiah leaking behind the defense, immediately triggers the throw?
Yeah, for sure. We had that one, kind of backed up on our own 12-yard line or something. But, we practiced that play all week, and, it was awesome to go see us execute it.
Go over here to the right side, Cameron Teague Robinson.
Julian, right here. Do you go into a Texas game where, obviously the game plan is a little more conservative, and then they want you to throw it a lot more today, and you can throw it around the field to a bunch of different weapons. How much does having the skill position group that you have help you just kind of fill the void of whatever Ryan or whatever Brian call for you?
Yeah, it's a huge impact. Having the receivers that we do here, having the off the line, being able to protect for that long, and then having the running backs who not only protect but then also get out in the route tree. So it was awesome to see. Those receivers today made some great plays, and they were running great routes, and they were always getting open.
Front row, Joey Kaufman.
Julian, on the touchdown to Will, the first one, Coach Day says when you see the defenders back, that's like a sign they're open. When you see the defenders back, what's that feeling like when you have a shot like that?
Yeah, that's what we talk about in practice a lot. A blind defender, when he's kind of trailing him and he's not looking at us, is an open receiver. So once I saw him had a step or two on him, was ready to let it rip, and he made a great catch and had some run after the catch for the touchdown.
All right, second row left, Patrick Murphy.
Julian, Coach Dates talked about building off of this, knowing this was an overmatched opponent. How do you kind of go forward, look at this film, maybe sort of doing this for the first time in a game like this, knowing that you have to improve, but maybe some things came a little bit easier than they will in future games?
Yeah, I think, Coach Day always says that the issues are always there. So, we made some great plays today, but, there's definitely stuff to clean up. The turnover that I had in the red zone, can't have that. Can't turn the ball over as a quarterback. So definitely some stuff to clean up, and we'll watch the tape, and, we need to grow from it and be ready for next week.
All right, we'll go over here to Stephen Means.
Julian, speaking of your one incompletion on today, what's the conversation like when you make a throw like that? Was it maybe just like a good throw? Was it a bad decision? What did you guys talk about on the iPad after you got a chance to see that play?
Yeah, it was a bad decision on my part, and we just got to watch the tape and move on and learn from it, because can't have those mistakes.
We'll go over here to the front row, Jeff Gilbert.
Julian, how well are you at the line before the snap, really understanding I know where the ball is going to go on this play? Or are you having to wait for it to develop a little bit and decide then? Are you really seeing them really well to start?
Yeah, there's definitely some pre-snap element to it. That's from the preparedness that the coaches have for us. But you also have to, let the defense kind of dictate where it goes based on their drops. So it's a little bit of pre-snap identification, and then post-snap confirmation is what we say in the quarterback room.
All right, then last question in the back left.
Julian, after sitting behind Will for a year and then coming out with a little more conservative play calling, in the first game, how does it feel for you to be able to get out there and, actually let loose be on the field like that?
Yeah, it was awesome. Had a lot of fun today. Can't say enough about the receiving room, the running backs, and the offensive line. Just everyone doing their part and making the offense move.
All right, Julian, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, guys, that's a wrap. Appreciate it.
All right, so that was Ohio State head coach Ryan Day and quarterback Julian Sayin talking about the 70-0 win over Grambling. Big first half for Sayin, goes 18 of 19, 4 touchdowns, and then we don't see him in the second half. We got to see some of Lincoln Keenholt, some of Tavian St. Clair, but a real positive performance there for the offense to get into a rhythm after, again, a very conservative and limited game plan in week 1. And I think you could kind of see it on Julian's face as he was talking about it, getting a chance to really kind of operate the full offense this week was probably a long time coming for him after waiting his turn behind Will Howard last year and just able to kind of go out there and let it rip. So we have some final stats here. Ohio State, once again, there's a lot that jumps out here. Once again, time of possession, maybe the most overrated stat in football, was pretty much even, and that was just about the only thing that was even. 32 first downs for Ohio State to 10, just 3 penalties. So you'd like to see that. A pretty clean game from the Buckeyes, but 651 total yards, 377 passing, 274 rushing. That's a beautiful chart there with just a total dominance, 7 of 8 in the red zone. Buckeyes very good in the red zone. Just that mistake, that only mistake that Julian Sayin made today was that interception there at the goal line that cost him a perfect day and Ohio State a perfect red zone day. So, but again, it was a dominant statistical performance from the Buckeyes, and again, you love to see the yardage and the balance and the low amount of penalties against an inferior opponent, and so they did what they needed to do today. We got some tackle with the silver bullet graphic here. You guys can look at. We're gonna look at some of the defensive stuff as the Buckeye defense pitched a shutout. Peyton Pierce leading the way with 6 tackles. And again, no one really played a full game today, so this was kind of interesting to look at this. Caden McDonald, again, very noticeable before he was pulled. Caleb Downs, did his thing before he was pulled. Sonny Styles, Arvell Reese, of course, all getting it done. Caden Curry with a sack. Jalen McClain was very noticeable, I thought, in the first half where he was pulled. And then, of course, again, Peyton Pierce. The guy who's not on there is actually Riley Pettijohn, who is like kind of right, probably, I guess, would be tied with Caleb Downs there. But he was tremendous as well, made some huge plays down the stretch there, the last couple series there defensively, and showed why everyone is so excited about him. So another great day for the Ohio State defense. Again, I think everyone, as I said earlier, I think everyone would have signed up for Matt Patricia's defense giving up 7 total points in the first 2 games. I think everyone would have taken that right without even any negotiations, just taken that right off the jump if we had offered that out to you guys at the beginning of August. So as noted to me, there were 8 guys tied with 2 tackles. So Caleb Downs is seniority and star power. Caleb, congratulations. You've earned the tiebreaker there over the other 7 guys to make the graphic, the interception as well. So a great day for a very balanced day for the Ohio State defense. I'm sorry, it's actually 12 guys tied with 2. We did a double check, 12 guys tied with 2 tackles, but that just tells you, again, guys didn't play full games and everyone really got a chance to play today from their depth. So very good day for the Buckeyes. And the other thing I don't want to jinx this, but I think they escaped today relatively injury free. There were no major injuries. So, I'm sure some guys have some bumps and bruises, things like that. So be some ice baths after the game as always. But I think the important thing, there was no major injuries today for Ohio State, which was, again, another big goal when you're playing a game like this. So quarterbacks, very good, of course. Julian Sayin, 18 for 19 with a touchdown. Lincoln Keenholz, 6 for 7, 71 and a touchdown. Lincoln Keenholz came in and did some good stuff. So Buckeye offense just was humming today. So I'd like to get to a few comments. I'm sure Tony and Tom will be here shortly to pick things up, especially with the Grambling post game was relatively quick. So I know they're probably getting a little bit of a head start today than maybe normally. Probably don't have much longer to go here before those guys get here. But let's if we can, let's throw a couple of comments up and kind of let you guys direct the discussion a little bit here. As the Buckeyes, again, 70-0 over Grambling. Doug Shepard, shame on the fans leaving in the third quarter. Yes, you missed. You got to stay and cheer for the freshmen. You got to stay and get a look at those guys. But it's all right. You got to beat the traffic too, I guess. Maybe people had some things to do tonight. Maybe they had dinner reservations. I don't know. Tim Skeldon, Bo Jackson needs time with the starters. Kid has power, speed, vision. Yeah, I don't disagree. And that's we've kind of talked about that for a few weeks now, is how long until Bo Jackson makes this kind of a 3-headed monster at running back. And today was a very good step from what I saw in terms of his ability to impact the game just the way the starters would. So this will be interesting to see. I'm sure he's going to get some reps next week. I do not think this is going to be as easy as people think next week, though. I think this game next week will be competitive for a little bit. OU, I think, finished off West Virginia today at home. I don't know why West Virginia would ever agree to play in Athens, but they were up and looked like they had things in control. So I think they put away West Virginia while we've been live here. So that should get people's attention next week for sure. Steve Lenoris, only 3 teams scored 70 or more. Only 2 got shutouts. Buckeyes got both. Look, Georgia had their starters in the game in the fourth quarter against Austin Peay today. So people can say what they want about today's opponent, but there's teams today that wish they would have played as well as Ohio State did against these inferior opponents. Georgia got into an actual matchup with Austin Peay today. Clemson was losing by 13 at half to Troy, who is a step up from Grambling, but Austin Peay, again, taking Georgia into the fourth quarter, certainly interesting. I can't fathom what this comment section would look like right now if Ohio State's first team defense and offense were in this game in the fourth quarter because they were trying to get a stop to keep Grambling from making it a 1-score game in the fourth quarter. That would have been all sorts of interesting. Florida Buckeye expected the first half. Thankfully, best second half I've ever seen in 50 years with the youngsters. Loved it. IO. And yes, that was a very good second half by the freshmen. We talked about that. If you weren't here for the first half of the show before we went to the interviews, one of my 3 bullet points from the game was the way the freshmen played in the second half, just the impact so many different guys were able to have. And it just didn't feel like there was a big drop off in a lot of areas at running back, at a lot of the positions on defense, with the corners, with the linebackers, with even some of the receivers. Like Mylan Graham's got a chance to kind of show what he can do. The other thing that was impressive to me, that second team and third team O-line, but it was probably a mix of the second team mostly. They were mauling guys in the second half of that game today. They got a lot of good stuff from Ian Moore, Ethan Onianwa, Carter Lowe, and Jay Cook are out there playing. Like, they got a lot of good stuff from their twos and even into their threes. Josh Padilla played a lot at center. So that was very encouraging, seeing how well the offensive line played, because we talk about the freshman running backs a lot, but that offensive line was opening up some huge holes for those guys. So credit to all those guys. Brian DeGroff, I wonder if Tom was able to get a photo on JJ's first touchdown. He was moving, nothing but a blur. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Usually Tom shoots with the Ohio State offense coming toward him. So I would think he probably got a pretty good shot on that, but I don't want to hold him to it, but yeah, that's usually the way that opened up. I would think we probably got a good shot of that, but we'll check in with Tom here momentarily, because the guys are getting ready and getting set up. So Jeremiah Smith, again, 5 catches. Speaking of Jeremiah Smith, 5 catches for 119 yards, 2 touchdowns in just one half of football. So, Jeremiah obviously is going to be kind of, talked about in this Heisman discussion as the year progresses. You got to have the stats first. So, good stats day for Jeremiah. And hey, there's a photo of Jeremiah, almost like a Terry Glenn, right? Very similar to Terry Glenn running away from the Notre Dame defense. We got a Jeremiah running away from the Grambling defense photo that we'll be able to throw up. So Tony, I think, is ready. So we will bring in Tony and the crew.
Bo Jackson almost got me my 225 yarders.
Tony, how's the band? How are the bands?
Well, Bill, enjoy writing.
Audio yet? You may not have audio yet. Can you hear me now? No. Okay. Here is, in the meantime, until they can hear us, here is Jeremiah Smith running away from the Grambling defense as requested. Are you guys ready?
Yeah, thank you, Mark.
Okay.
That was about as expected, although I don't know if anybody had 70-0 in the staff picks.
I had 63-0 before they classlessly scored one last touchdown.
I guess Mark is already gone. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, everybody. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Buckeye Weekly podcast. I am Tony Gerdeman, here as always with Tom or Tom. What about that Irish goodbye by Mark Gibbler?
What about that Irish goodbye by Mark Gibbler? I tell you, I don't think we'll be Irish. No set of duck out the side.
How's it going?
It's good. It's as you said, that was much as expected. It was just kind of, it felt like they were just kind of like checking the box. Okay, let's get Jeremiah Smith a long touchdown highlight real quick. Got okay, done. It was very funny. They had the drive where I think Jeremiah scored.
Okay, I guess we are there's a little bit of audio feedback on their end, so we will give them a minute or two to reload on that. Do we have more comments we can push through? Brian DeGroff, Riley Pettijohn and Peyton Pierce will be great next year. Add in Alford, linebacker core special. Yeah, we were certainly talking about that. People won't be as upset about Arvell Reese heading off to the NFL, given what they're going to have coming back. Do we have you guys?
Yes, we're back. We're going to do it. We're going to do it the old-fashioned way. Sorry,
Gotcha.
it's fine. We can make it work. We'll do this show by telegraph if necessary.
Yes. All right, guys, take it away.
Thank you again, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
There we go. All right.
Perfect. Great.
You want to start the show all over again? Let's do that.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Buckeye Weekly podcast. I'm Tony Gerdeman, here as always with Tom Moore. Tom, how's it going?
Well, Tony, it felt like that was pretty much exactly the football game we were all anticipating they were going to have. And of all the football games, it was certainly one of the most football games there was. The whole game felt like they were just kind of checking the boxes. They got each one of the wide receivers a pass, and I turned to Adam, the photographer from the Dispatch. I said, all right, next pass is going to a tight end because they've checked all the boxes for the wide receivers, and the next pass went to Will Kesmerick for a touchdown. And then Michael, good buddy, a longtime friend of the program, Michael, one of the other photographers down the field, he said, they're going to go to Jeremiah here. And then boom, it was just kind of like, you could just tell, okay, what are the boxes they're going to check? What order are they going to check them in? And boy, they checked them all.
Well, I would say then they got home and realized, oh shoot, we forgot to get Max Clare at the store. This is a grocery list.
We have Max Clare at home.
No, and so Max Clare with one for 7. I thought a couple of times they were going to dial something up for him, but it was Will Kasmerick's turn, then it was Jelani Thurman's turn. It will eventually be Max Clare's turn, but boy, what a performance by Julian Sayin. And yes, it was Grambling State, and we'll say that now, and we'll say it later on during the show. 18 of 19 with the lone incompletion being that interception. He was on point. Ryan Day said, yeah, sure, he had some open receivers, but he also had some covered receivers that he put the ball right where it needed to be. I told you before the game he was going to go 12 for 12 to start. I was right.
You were right. And he was 16 for 16 at one point, right? Isn't that exactly what Will Howard did in the national championship game?
Yeah,
he was 16 for 16 as well. And then threw a pick. Only one incompletion all day, and it was a pick.
No footballs hit the ground, though, so
That's
that
true.
was good. But that one, he got greedy, and he said it was a bad decision. Clearly it was. It was like, again, checking that box. Okay, I need to get this one to Cardell Tate. And he was waiting, and it did not work out for him. But I think this one of the questions I wanted to ask Ryan Day, and then Dylan Davis asked it for me, was it's to get this kind of mistake out of the way in this game, fantastic. Ryan Day said, that you don't want interceptions, but this is a lesson that they will learn, and he will learn, and he'll take back with them. And it's better to do it here than any other game this season. I don't know. What was the score when that happened? Like 56-0 or something?
It wasn't quite that
It would have been
high.
like 35, because this would have been in the first half, right?
So that was 28-0. Yeah, the Ohio State's drives in order: touchdown, 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 interception, touchdown, 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 punt, touchdown.
And I missed that punt.
You
I was
missed
on
the
my
punt.
way
Yes,
down.
one of my bold predictions was that Nick McClarty would have a punt of 55 yards or longer.
Well, you were way off.
And I was I don't what did he
45.
45. Yeah. He had the space to do it, and I thought, well, the wind was going against him, but I thought maybe that would have been the funniest way possible to win the bold predictions. But alas,
Saw Jeremiah Smith with the 87-yarder to kind of get him off the schneid, get him going a little bit, and that was one that Julian Sayin said they had been working on and clearly executed that one. It was so easy.
yeah, oh yeah, it was one where he just sort of ran past everyone and caught it, and then ran, and it didn't feel like he was even really hit the afterburners. He was clear of everyone by 10 yards, it felt like, and then here's the
shagging some flies, basically.
Yeah, here's the one of the pictures of that. I'll punch some pictures in here later
I don't know
on.
where that 43 is. Like, I don't know how close he was to covering it, but you can't have anybody near him wearing 43.
Nowhere. He wasn't that close. That's got to be 10 yards behind.
I think there's a guy right there too with the
there's
shadow.
Yeah, there's someone on the sideline, but he was also not particularly close. So, yeah, it was not. No one. There was never a moment when you thought, "Uh-oh, he's going to get caught from behind." No. Brian Dawes Super Chat says, "Will Texas watch this game film to figure out how to convert a 4th and 1?"
Maybe they did some of that on their own today, but there was a point where it was like, what if Grambling State scores more than Texas? Would Texas? How would they feel about that?
Would Texas have to stop playing football? People are asking.
And but that did not happen, and Ohio State held the shutout. Again, how many shutouts have we seen over the years get lost by the young guys? And that was not the case.
Yeah, no.
In this one, Riley Pettyjohn. We can go up and down all of the people that stood out, but when he was in there, he made an impact, even from his first tackle, depleting a guy, and then forcing a fumble, recovering a fumble, obviously taking it in. And Ryan Day was also impressed, saying he stood out basically.
Oh yeah. He was someone you saw him early, you saw him often. I didn't mean to punch that in the show, but here we are. That's Will Kazmarek. I just want you to look inside his helmet. Look at the look on his face as he is scoring that touchdown. That is one happy gentleman right there. That was the first touchdown of the game. Made a nice catch right over the middle. I mean, it was one of those, like, if they're not looking to stop the tight end specifically, you've got no chance. Like, you have to have a plan specifically for this guy, and if you don't, you're in trouble. And they did not have a plan for Will Kazmarek on that play.
I don't know how many teams come in saying, "Hey, we got to stop 89."
Yeah, well,
and as Ryan Day said, that was a perfect one-incher because the defense has their back turned to the quarterback, and the receiver is open, and Julian Sayin went right down the seam, and that was the throw that Will Howard was not able to make against Oregon. You know, like that's the throw that kind of got hurt on. Will Kazmarek did missed a bunch of games, but Julian Sayin zipped it right in there. And again, that's two really good games from Julian Sayin where he looks like he's in complete control and has no panic in him.
Yeah, he was just very efficient, very effective. 18 for 19, 306 yards, 4 touchdowns in the pick, and you take the pick out of there, and you're 18 for 18 for 306 yards and 4 touchdowns, and that's one of the great days in Ohio State football history. You look at the pick and you kind of go, all right, well, yeah, but that was a game where that looked exactly like that game should have looked. And we'll get to Mickey Joseph, who's the Grambling coach. He was very, very honest in the post-game press conference, as he was earlier in the week. Had some really interesting stuff to say. We'll get to some of that later on, but that's one of those games where I think people look at it and go, yeah, so what? It was Grambling. And yeah, so what? It was Grambling, but that's exactly what that should have looked like. That was just, it was not like Ohio State was breaking out anything fancy. It was not. That was just Ohio State just going, our players are better at football than your players, and they're going to score many touchdowns, and they're going to stop you from getting many yards. And you look at the stats from the game, and 8 different players rushed the ball. 10 different players had receptions. They had 4 different guys rush for touchdowns. 4 different guys catch touchdowns. It was just very, very efficient, very, very easy. And then they had a defensive touchdown as well. Yeah. So they had scored 10 touchdowns, and only one guy scored more than one. So
multiple touchdowns in every quarter.
Yeah.
I will say, during our bold predictions, you would not let me have 10 yards per play over the course of the game.
And that's because that was not bold, because it was going to happen, but then it didn't.
9.9.
Yes.
That would have been painful. I mean, it was painful already that I didn't get that one. But the number of, as you said, the sheer number of players that played is exactly what you wanted. That's why we talked about this being a spring game in September, where you get everybody out there, except now the stats count. And that's some of these guys are going to take these stats into next week and try to build on them moving forward.
Dave K we should be super chatting you. He says somewhere Tate Martell is popping champagne. Yes, 10 for 10, Tony. You can't beat perfection. And Julian Sayin certainly tried.
He tried.
Cannot beat perfection.
You cannot go full Tate Martell. But yes, I'm sure it's a Saturday night, so why wouldn't he? Or it's a Saturday afternoon in Vegas right now. Still, why not?
Still, why not? Yeah. I thought Ohio State did a very nice job getting a ton of guys in. I have not seen the official participation report yet, but the ones got a half. The 2s got basically the third quarter. The 3s got basically the fourth quarter. And then you had walk-ons. Mm-hmm. You had multiple former club football players on a kickoff coverage after that last touchdown. That was exactly what you want to do with that game. Now, we have talked over the years, and put your earmuffs on, about to say something nice about Michigan. Michigan does a very good job with this type of game, getting 12 guys to run the ball and 10 guys to catch the ball, all that kind of stuff. That was as good a job as I've seen Ohio State do with that, where it wasn't, they weren't giving carries to guys who will never ever carry the ball again. But it was a very, very good use of all of those reps. We talked this week about how precious each of those game reps is. And you got Bo Jackson 9 carries. You got Isaiah West 8 carries. You got Sam Dixon 3 carries. I mean, you're getting guys on the field. Can we talk for a minute about Bo Jackson? Because
if we must,
there was a moment when he was streaking down the right sideline, and I thought he was about to run for a second long touchdown, and I thought, I hope I can beat everyone else to tweeting, why don't they build the whole plane out of the Bo Jackson? Because, boy, we've been talking about Bo Jackson for a while. I think this is the game where everyone kind of went, oh, they weren't kidding.
Yeah, no, and we did not get to see him against Texas. I assume this might be that might be the last time we don't see him in a game moving forward.
Yeah, maybe.
Because even Ryan Day said he's going to play this season, maybe not early, and meaning that Texas game. But I think he fumbled a ball out of bounds, so maybe on one of his runs is what somebody was saying. So
Okay.
perhaps a little bit of don't ever do that again.
Yeah.
Now you need to be punished a little bit. But everybody saw what we've seen in camp and what his teammates and coaches know he can do, and he's impressive. And this is our first time seeing Isaiah West really at all.
Yeah.
Because the 3 practices we got to see in fall camp, he still wasn't ready to go yet. And I thought he looked pretty good. Got to see, as you said, Sam Dixon again out there for the first time in a while. Does it mean anything against Grambling? No, but it's stuff that they can take forward.
Mm-hmm.
And as Ryan Day said, I asked him, games like this, you can when you can still see guys do what they do in practice and then take it to the game. Doesn't matter what kind of game it is, you're able to see them perform in the shoe in front of people against a real live team. That gives you confidence that the next time they can do it as well. I expect to see Bo Jackson playing next week against Ohio.
Yeah, I would expect for sure to see Bo Jackson, because I think you saw. I mean, again, I would like to know if he did fumble the ball, because that will be something that will impact. That might impact when you see him next. But I would expect to see him next weekend. And by the way, let's just start this conversation right now. It's not going to be 70-0 next weekend, because Ohio beat West Virginia today, 17-10. So this is, I hope you all got the, we're all going to sit in the pleasant afternoon sun and watch some marching bands and watch a bunch of guys parade into the end zone, just a conga line into the end zone.
No.
I hope you enjoyed that. That's not what next weekend's going to be.
No, I think it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a fun game, and one that people will need to be involved in. And a night game, of course, means that everybody's going to be very involved in it, as Clemson is about to run away with this one, as eventually expected.
Yeah.
I don't know what,
hang on. Go back up to the Navy. Navy's up 31-24. All right. And in the comments here, Kevin has dropped the video of the halftime show. I know that was something that everyone was really interested in, so we made a point. The fellas did a nice job getting that together and getting that posted. So make sure you check that out.
After
the post-game show, but before the morning show. It's a very strict order here. You've got to stay in order.
And if we want to move over to the, Lincoln Keno's finally getting to throw the ball a little bit and have an opportunity to run by choice.
Yeah.
That was good compared to what his life has been previously as the Ohio State quarterback. He was 6 of 7. Did not get my 111 yards or whatever that I was boldly predicting. Tavian St. Clair out there had a pass that was dropped, but good to see him out there. And overall, basically, this used to be a game like if you're not going to redshirt, you're going to play in this game.
Yeah.
Like this year, like if you're going to redshirt, you're going to play in this game. And if you were healthy, Brody London was out there.
Yep.
Freshman tight end. Like basically, I'd have to go through and see. Like I think just about anybody that could.
Yeah, everyone who was not on the availability report was out there. They ran 3 full offensive lines out there.
Yeah, I saw the Armstrong brothers out there.
Yeah, they had. Yep. They had. They had a ton of guys out there. Carter Lowe, true freshman offensive tackle, is out there. That's exactly what you use this game for. This is a perfect use of this game. Does it mean anything? Not a thing. Not a thing, and that's fine. This is a great opportunity. So now you have some film to teach off of for Carter Lowe. You've got plenty of film to teach off of from Ian Moore at left tackle. Justin Terry, the West Virginia transfer, he was a second team right tackle. You got film now to teach off of for him. But you looked at all these true Epis Satanoles out there a bunch. You got film for him now because he wasn't here in the spring, so you don't have spring game film for him. So now you got actual game film for him. This is a really, really valuable resource for the team. it was, and this was just like about as low stress as you could possibly have a football game. Like Ohio State fans, I think, came in going, well, I hope they don't look terrible at any point. Like punt the ball at one point when the game's even slightly in doubt. Nope, not even nope.
No,
so.
no. Defensively, Arvell Reese was quiet. That's unfortunate. No, it's just like, overall, they kept the shutout as we talked about. You saw Zion Grady out there chasing the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
He got a sack. You mentioned Epi Satanale. Dominic Kirks and Josh Mickens were out there. Eric Mensa. That's like
yeah.
If you could go, you were out there, and they were able to just continue to hold form. And again, Grambling State.
Well, I think you could have a legitimate question: which is more challenging, Ohio State scout team or Grambling? And that's not to be disrespectful, but you look at the ones, and then when the ones were replaced by the twos, I don't know that the gap got any smaller. The gap might have gotten bigger because looking at the Grambling team coming out, it was like, oh, these guys are all 6 inches shorter than their Ohio State counterparts. And, there's the defensive linemen all look like they should be nicknamed snacks, right? Like they don't, and that's, that sounds mean, but it's, you're not choosing the recruits. You don't have access to recruits that Ohio State does. You also don't have access to the strength and conditioning kind of program and the nutrition program and all the other stuff that Ohio State has. Ohio State has so many built-in advantages of a program like that this is Ohio State and Purdue are kind of playing the same sport, but not entirely. Ohio State and Kent State are kind of playing the same sport, but like that's 2 degrees or 3 degrees of separation. Grambling's another degree of separation below that. Yeah. It's almost like 4 levels of the sport lower. So this is like one of those European soccer competitions where the Premier League team has to play the team from League 2, and it's like, oh, that's an old Milltown, and you're going in to play Man City. Like, how is it going to go? Like, that's how it went. But
congratulations to the South Florida Bulls on their win over the Gators.
They did not.
18-16.
Oh my. Well,
what's that? We're doing a show here.
South Florida 18, Florida 16. Final. Further bulletins as events warrant.
No, not yet.
So that's listen, everyone has always said the real barometer of a conference strength is how they do against East Tennessee State. And Tennessee killed them. So
and right now Oklahoma is first and goal at the Michigan 9, as you may know, but you're watching us, so how would you?
Yes.
You mentioned like the second and third team for the defense, like TJ Alford gets in there and he's immediately throwing somebody down.
Good.
Garrett Stover's in there, and then Malik Hartford and Fahim Delane with the twos. Like, those are 2 hungry guys.
Mm-hmm.
This was a young group of hungry defenders looking to show, like, I can play more. It doesn't just have to be against Grambling State. It can be against Ohio. It can be against Washington. And watching some of Washington this past week, DeMond Williams is going to be a nightmare for the linebackers trying to tackle him. But just the young guys getting out there was everything you wanted to see.
Yeah, for sure. The linebacker room at Ohio State, I don't know that people have completely wrapped their arms around just how good it is and just how good a job James Laurinaitis has done there in a relatively short amount of time in terms of recruiting, in terms of development. But you've got, the ones, Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles. I think everyone's feeling great. You're having potential, it's early, potential All-American kind of conversations about the first team guys. Then you got Peyton Pierce right behind them, who they feels like he's almost interchangeable with the starters. He led the team in tackles today with 6. Then you got Garrett Stover. Then you got the 2 true freshmen, Riley Pettyjohn and TJ Alford. And Eli Lee was out there as well. Mm-hmm. But this is one of these games where you find out, okay, what's the depth chart really? And correct. I feel like we could put together a depth chart now based on, okay, now we really know what, you can say what you want, show us what you think. We saw it today. But, Riley Pettyjohn and TJ Alford, both, they were out there and you immediately went, okay, this again, the stipulation, it's Grambling. We get it. We understand. Second game of your college career, that's what it should look like. If we're not saying they're going to be All-Americans this year, but okay, it feels like the future of the Ohio State linebacker room is in pretty decent shape with Peyton Pierce and Garrett Stover and then the true freshmen.
Yeah, those two, TJ Alford and Riley Pettyjohn, are just physically immediate.
Yeah.
Let's hit some. You got anything else that you wanted to hit on? Caden Curry, 2 tackles for loss, was a menace in that first half for the Buckeyes. It was also good to finally see Malik Hartford out there getting some time at free safety.
Caden McDonald forced fumble. Riley Pettyjohn forced fumble. Caleb Downs with the interception. That was Caleb Downs. I want to go back and watch a TV copy because that was as much of a I have a picture of the quarterback throwing the ball, and then all of a sudden, just like that much later, Caleb Downs already has the ball, and it felt like one of those, you're playing the video game and you're like, oh come on, no one could get it. But he just had it.
You'd be so mad if your quarterback is the one throwing that.
Oh
on
yeah,
the video game.
yeah,
It's like, that's impossible.
But
no, he just grabbed it, and then there was much laughter because it's like, how does that even happen? Because it was just like he couldn't get away from the ball.
Yeah.
Even if he wanted to, he couldn't get away from it, and it just stuck to him.
Yeah. All right. So was there something else you wanted to get to before?
No.
Okay.
We can hit the questions.
All right. We can hit some questions. Go ahead and punch those in. Lisa says, okay, this game is over. Nothing much to take from it. Now it's time to get ready for Ohio next weekend. And I cannot emphasize strongly enough. Next weekend is a very different game from this weekend. I know everyone kind of lumps in, you're on the top of the mountain and everything down there looks small. Ohio is a lot further. Ohio is, if Grambling is base camp, Ohio is several camps up Everest from, there are some colorful hikers, who are now landmarks on between Grambling and Ohio. Yeah.
Parker Navarro, Ohio quarterback, threw 3 interceptions in this game.
Yeah,
they still won.
Yeah, but let me tell you, let me clue you, as my grandmother-in-law would say. Ohio State fans are going to really, really not enjoy the Parker Navarro experience. He is going to drive you nuts.
3rd and 7, you're going to hate him because he's going to scramble.
There was on Ohio's last drive, I was trying to follow along in the press conference, and it was 3rd and 9, and Parker Navarro scrambled for 10 yards, first down, game over. You are going to hate the Parker Navarro experience. Make your peace with it right now. They're going to give up some first downs. They're going to give up some points next week. You're going to be so annoyed. Just make your peace with it right now.
He threw for 247 yards and rushed for 87. So he's just a pain.
Yeah, and West Virginia is not a bad team. That's not a bad West Virginia. It's not a great West Virginia team, but it's not a bad West Virginia team. Mike Farino says, how's it going, guys? Happy with the win. Ohio's going to be a competent team next week. Shouldn't be close, but it's not going to be a cakewalk. Yeah, I think that's exactly right. This week we said, that the implied line was something like 62 points. Next week, I don't know. I haven't looked at the power rankings, but 28 or 32 or something like that would not be.
Feels like a lot though.
Yeah, but I think you're looking at half of the gap in terms of points, or maybe less. Doug says, I was willing to give Peoples a mulligan for last week because of the first game jitters, but after today, I'm disappointed in his lack of burst. He
was 8 for 59, long of 12, averaged 7.4 yards per carry, and like every carry went for 6 to 12 yards.
Right. It was he did, he didn't break a long one, but he also was just very efficient. They were on schedule every single time he carried the ball, right?
Yeah, you always want to see somebody break it in a game like this one, like Bo Jackson did.
Right,
where it's like there should be some long runs in this one. And then last week was not the start that he wanted. But, we'll see because, again, like I've even got people in my DM saying, where's the burst? I was expecting more. And I think, it's still early. And 7.4 yards per carry will get it done. Now, again, Tom.
Right, yeah.
This is Grambling.
But if you adjust that to 7.4 yards per carry, if you go ahead and take a couple of yards of carry off there, that's still not, he doesn't have the long one that's skewing it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're, instead of running for 6 to 12 yards per carry, you're running for 4 to 8 yards every time, you'll take that. That will keep you on schedule too.
That's exactly what Bo Jackson did, minus the long one.
Right. Yeah. So, and Bo Jackson was also out there against the 2s and probably the 3s at some points. So, yeah, I would say it's probably too early to write anyone off. I would strongly suggest it's too early to write anyone off. So, Warbug says, before the game, I said the biggest question was whether this team, as young as it is, avoided the pitfall of playing down to their competition. They very much did.
Ryan Day talked about how on Tuesday practice was kind of like, and he thought it was maybe just they were just tired from the physicality of the Texas game rather than, there's like an exhale there. And then they picked it up on Wednesday, and then certainly just kept picking it up in this one because there was no letdown. And now I could say it could have been worse. There were 2 drives that weren't scores. They got just about all of the points they could have, but this is certainly as bad as it needed to be. And there's nothing that you saw you're like, oh, that's concerning. I think maybe the most concerning thing is giving up like 94 yards rushing. But again, your first team is only out there for 2 quarters. And
right.
I don't like. You can only make so much from this game either way, frankly.
Yeah, I mean, they really only had 1 drive of any real consequence. That was a 12-play, 56-yard drive that ended in the field goal attempt. And that was, at that point, the game was 21-0. Yeah. And,
that's where it felt like there's maybe just a little bit of an exhale from Ohio State.
I think that's kind of the point where you're up 3 scores and you kind of go, and that's the end of that chapter. And when I was in college and we would play video games, EA Sports, if you were up 21-0 on someone, we called it a stanky booty, and you had to turn it off and the next person played.
Right.
It felt a little like that. You had a little bit of a hangover there.
I did see Sonny Styles yelling stanky booty to his brother. So.
Yes. What do you think he meant?
I don't know.
Troy V says it was so cool seeing Jake Cook with a pancake block. Kid is going to be the next generation on the line. He is with the 3s right now. He was with the 2s in camp, and then Ethan Onyanwa was with the 2s at right guard. So then Cook ended up with the 3s at left guard. But he's someone who, he's a local kid. He's a Westerville kid. So we've seen him at camps. And there was a time 3-4 years ago when he was at camps, and it was just like, really nice kid, but obviously this is not going to happen. And he has really, really, like, he looks nothing like he looked before, and has really gotten himself to the point where he's playing ahead of guys who are older than him. If you're a true freshman and you're out there, like, okay, that's someone who it's not going to happen this year. Maybe it'll happen next year. We'll see what the depth chart looks like. There's plenty of talented guys who will probably be back next year, but he's going to be in the mix for sure. And he's someone who he is probably a buy and hold stock rather than like this is going to be an immediate, but he's already light years ahead of where I would have expected him to be.
Yeah. I mean, he's probably around where Austin Searveld was, where like you're not, maybe even beyond it, because we're already talking about it. We didn't talk about Austin Searveld until last August.
Right.
That was,
yeah.
I don't know how much we talked about him in the spring, frankly. But this is a guy who's certainly more advanced than anticipated by the recruiting rankings, but none of that he doesn't subscribe to any of that. Like, he just continues to play and was, as you said, with the 2s, and then of course everybody moves down a peg with Ethan Onyanwa playing guard, and then I assume Gabe Van Sickle was with the 2s.
Yeah, he was at left guard with the 2s. Yep.
Yeah. So that all makes sense.
And Gabe Van Sickle's another guy who this is a maybe you should mail some flowers out to Justin Fry in Arizona, because he has done, there were a lot of guys who people looked at and you saw the 3-star heaven comments and all that kind of stuff. There are a lot of those guys who, whether it's Austin Searveld or Gabe Van Sickle or Jake Cook, a lot of those guys who were not the higher class, who are already starting to show like, hey, there was some pretty good talent evaluation and some pretty good development as well. And, that credit has to kind of go a little bit to Justin Fry, but also to Tyler Bowen and Charlie Dickey. I mean, the whole group of offensive line coaches this year.
I would suggest succulents rather than flowers.
Sorry. Very smart. Rob says, will you guys wish me a happy birthday tomorrow to me? My name is Rob DeCaro. No.
Thank you.
No.
Super chat.
Happy birthday, Rob. Happy early birthday. Butch wants to know, how do you guys think Lincoln and St. Clair looked?
Tavian was 0 for 2. One of those was a drop. I don't know I don't recall what the other one was. I may have been moving downstairs from the field. Lincoln, he had the one throw behind his first throw was behind the receiver, first or second.
Yeah, that was up behind Bryson Rogers, I think.
But and he wasn't necessarily asked to do too much, but he did have the touchdown throw to Jelani Thurman in the back of the end zone. So happy for him that he got 7 opportunities to read a defense and throw the ball. I think he could have, he's an athletic guy, as we know, as everybody will tell you. So he could be involved in the running game maybe next time they have one of these games. Certainly the next time he has one of these games, not one of these, but where he's closing things out. You might see him run the ball a little bit more, but I am glad that they threw the ball with him and glad that they threw with Tavian St. Clair in the fourth quarter because you got these guys have to get their reps in.
Right, exactly. This is, you look at last year, this was Julian Sayin, who was the third guy in, and he's getting just these, and you're getting 2 throws at the end of the Michigan State game or whatever it is, and they're incomplete, but it almost doesn't matter. You've got to have, okay, you took the snap. What did you see from the defense? Why did you make the decision that you made? This is all of these things are if you had it to do over again, what would you do?
Yeah.
Like this is all stuff you can teach off of, and you can teach off of other guys' reps, but teaching off of your own reps is so much more valuable. And Tavian St. Clair, he's a true freshman. He's a 3 right now. If he ends up being the starter at some point this year, that is probably not real good news for Ohio State. But this is all stuff that matters for next year, that matters for the year after that. This is just the start of the process for him. And those are all very valuable reps, and it's good. It's great, like you said, that they went in and they're kind of running the offense. You're not being a jerk. You're not running the triple option reverse, whatever. You don't have your starters in. Everyone understands. Mickey Joseph coached at LSU. He's a big boy. He knows. He understands what you're doing. You're not being a jerk. If you've got your 3s in, you got your 4s in, you get your 5th running back in.
Yeah.
You're giving your 5th running back carries. Like, what are you supposed to do? Like, you know what this is at this point. So.
Yeah, I will say the touchdown pass to Carnell Tate from Julian Sayin, beautiful throw, great catch, but it did kill Julian Sayin's touchdown pass average length because the 55-yarder last year to Bennett Christian, 40-yarder to Carnell Tate, 47 to Will Kazmarek today, 87-yarder. Like this dude, all he does is throw deep touchdowns, and then there's a 13-yarder to Carnell Tate and a 9-yarder to Jeremiah Smith, and it's like you're killing your average, man.
Yeah, and there's the touchdown pass to Carnell Tate.
Great grab. I think he got a foot and a hand down before he went out of bounds, and certainly I still think Julian was trying to reward him again later on, and that's what led to the interception.
Yeah,
but just throw it higher and let him go get it, just like that photo.
Well, and that's the thing. You look at that, and the guy's not in bad position, but he doesn't have his head around. And also, Tate is probably 2 feet higher than him. Like that as a corner, that's yeah, man, what do you want me to do? Like I can't compete with this kind of thing. All right, so Jeffrey McDowell says, is Bo Jackson worthy of top pair? I mean, can I give you the real boring coaching answer?
Yes, please, because that's what I was going to say.
The real boring coaching answer is, well, how is he at pass protection? How is he in terms of running, catching the ball out of the backfield? How is he in terms of ball security? Because can take a handoff and run a long way is great. That's very exciting. That's like 20% of being part of the top pair of running backs. Right. And we have not seen enough of Bo Jackson to be able to tell you, yes, for sure. We have seen enough of him that we've been telling you since the spring. Yeah, man, watch this space. You now understand why we're saying, yeah, man, watch this space. But it's, this is like, well, the tight end can do all these exciting things. Great. Can he block? Because that's the stuff that the coaches are looking at.
Yeah, and we didn't see enough. We saw when you watch Bo Jackson in practice, you see somebody special. But we don't see him picking up blitzes, and we don't see him protecting the ball necessarily because they punch it out, but they're not tackling.
Right.
They'll punch at it. But, yeah, the protection of the ball and of the quarterback, no idea. And it's rare for freshmen to be able to handle that really well. Like Maurice Claret, as a true freshman, he was like the best pass blocking running back on the team. Travion Henderson was very good at that as a true freshman and then just continued to get better. It's not a trait that they necessarily come in with because how often is Bo Jackson pass protecting in high school? How often are any of these guys pass protecting in high school? I think Carlos Loughlin said the same thing of himself. He's like, we're not throwing the ball. I'm running it. And so it's just a lot of development and growth. And they have to be able to play all 3 downs and sometimes all 4 downs and may not get the ball in any of those 4 snaps.
Right. Well, you got to remember, these are guys who have all been the best player on every team they've ever been on, with the exception maybe of the guys who are playing for like the massive South Florida high schools or whatever. Bo Jackson has always been the best high school player, the best player in every single football team he's ever been on, almost certainly. And when you are that guy, what does the coach want to do? The coach wants to say, well, let's give it to the guy who's faster and can make everyone miss. And, because I look smart when I run toss right and then the guy makes 17 people miss. You're not being asked to do a lot. You're not being asked to do the unsexy stuff because you're very good at doing the stuff that is like, oh, look, another highlight reel touchdown.
Right.
How about that? Florida Buckeye says, told Mark earlier, best second half I've seen in 50 years. Great to see the youngsters get some reps. Will pay off later this year. I think, yes, it'll pay off later this year. This is a game that's also going to pay some dividends in 2026, 2027, and on.
Yeah, and I always grew up liking these games because you got to see the next stars, and I think you saw quite a few next stars for Ohio State, not necessarily this year, but you already know the names and you're in on the ground floor on a lot of these guys.
Well, the last time they played an HBCU team was Florida A&M in 2013. Do you know who the young running back who had a big day that you didn't really hear from the rest of the season was?
Yep, Ezekiel Elliott, I believe, like 14 for 162 that day with a pair of touchdowns.
Yes. So, again, this is not you're going to see these guys make huge impact plays in 2 games against Washington. Probably not. But in maybe later this year, we've seen true freshmen take the sort of Chris Olave path,
Right,
where you play a much bigger role in later in the season. Garrett Wilson has done that, and guys like that. But these are guys who are going to be impact players in the future, whether that's a month from now or a year from now. We'll see.
Yep.
Mozart's Go says tight ends were feasting today. JJ must be freeing them up.
Yeah, and the tight ends, as we know, Tom, but who has been telling everybody that this is the year of the tight end? Of course, we have, and Kevin as well, as he holds up his hand. We have all been saying this. So you had Jelani Thurman with 3 catches, Will Kazmarek with 2, Max Clare with the 1, Bennett Christian with 1, and it's Nate Roberts. I thought he would get one today just because.
He had one attempted to him.
Yeah.
I thought it might be a catch, but I think it was behind him or something.
So,
yeah. That was one of the Tavian St. Clair throws.
Yeah, and again, we've been saying it. It's the deepest room, perhaps in the nation. Certainly, the deepest room on this Ohio State roster. And as the tight ends, I was asking them a couple weeks ago, is this the best room on the team? I'm like, yes, of course it is. And only the defensive backs would argue. Basically, it's like, well, that's just how defensive backs are. They will argue, and we've seen almost nothing from Max Clare yet in the passing game.
Yeah,
he was involved in the running game on some of these tosses and so getting some stuff outside going. There will be the Max Clare game at some point this season. Didn't need it today, so no worries there.
You didn't need it today, but I think the Max Clare conversation goes back to some of the stuff we were talking about with Bo Jackson. Max Clare is not the best blocker on the team in terms of the tight ends. That's Will Kazmarek. So, I mean, I don't know what the snap counts were for those 2 guys last week. Will Kazmarek played more than Max Clare.
So did Bennett Christian.
It's because those guys are trusted as better blockers, and Max Clare is more on the wide receiver side of things than the tight end side of things. But they run a lot of inline tight end, and they got to be able to trust you to block. And Max Clare obviously has a bright future at Ohio State, but you want to know why you're not seeing him as much? That's part of the reason.
Did you have any coaching? Did you have some sound?
I do have. Do we have the Mickey Joseph sound ready to go? Yes. Okay. So it was over with Grambling coach Mickey Joseph. This is going to be 2 sound bites in a row. You'll hear me asking a question. The first question I asked him was just sort of about your game plan going into a game like this. The score. He was very open earlier in the week about yeah, man, we're not going in there like we're going to shock the world. Like he gets it. He's not an idiot. Like he's not going to lie to his team. But he said they got to go in and play hard. That's what they want to do. But
they did.
And they did. Oh yeah, they played their butts off. There's a certain point where it's just kind of like, yeah, man, what do you want me to do? But I asked him just sort of when you're going up against a team like this, where you look around and it's like, hey, that's Jeremiah Smith. I know him from TV. And hey, there's Carnell Tate and there's Julian Sayin. And boy, there are a lot of 5 stars out here. What are you doing what's the game plan coming in this game? So you'll hear him answer that, and then you'll hear me kind of ask a follow-up question, and he'll answer one more.
Well, I think you start this to make sure you can do what we're capable of doing against them, that you're not delusional. Like, I think some people are delusional. I think some people thought we was going to walk in here and go toe-to-toe with them. Not with 63 scholarships. What, they got a $35 million roster? I don't have a $35 million roster. Maybe we can put our money together and we come up with $35 million, but I doubt it. But yeah, so it's you take my hat off to Coach. Coach did a great job. Coach, they did a great job. Just being respectful with it. And after the game, he told me, he said, "You're right. You're going to have a good football team." I know I have a good football team on my level, and I don't have to face any more FBS Power Fives or Group of Fives. Everything now is D2 and FCS. So we good. We came out healthy. So I just told the boys, I said, "Don't pout. Smile. Keep your head up because you fought." See, sometimes when you fight like that, people respect you more. So we probably got their respect. They beat us, but they probably respect our kids. And they had good things to say. Those kids were very respectful from Ohio State. Y'all got a good football team.
Is an opportunity to play in a game like this something that you've been selling and recruiting and telling kids you got a chance to play in Ohio State?
Absolutely, because, when you don't have a big share revenue budget, a big NIL deal, we still recruiting kids on relationships. Kids trusting the coach and doing home visits and knowing who the family members are. So we do sell games like this because, we have another stage with PV in Dallas. We have another stage with Jackson in Vegas. We have another stage with Southern in New Orleans. So we do have some stages there, but this is going to help because we've been on this big stage. This is a great opportunity for my football team. And they were excited to come in here. And, I just asked them, don't look at the scoreboard. Just fight. Just fight. So I'm hoping everybody, back in Graham will be positive with these young men because they came in here and they fought. I didn't wake up and say, "Hey, I want to play Ohio State." So we know the reason we had to do it, and we did our job.
So you heard him real quickly mention having a stage with Southern down in New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
That is the Bayou Classic. That is Thanksgiving weekend. Find that on TV. That is one of those like really cool college football things, like just spectacles. Find that at some point on Thanksgiving weekend. It used to be on the Friday, I think, of Thanksgiving weekend. Now it's now I'm not sure. I think it might be Saturday now. But yeah, that's one that's worth checking out. The other thing that I thought was very cool was halftime. Mm-hmm. Ohio State's assistant coaches. Some Ohio State assistant coaches, I think, were out a little earlier than they typically were to watch the Grambling band. Larry Johnson standing right almost like you almost need a get back coach for Larry Johnson during the band performance, right on the edge of the white of the sidelines watching the band. Really not looking really rapt attention. That was a very, very I think that was a cool thing for Ohio State fans to experience. And I can't imagine even with all those things that Mickey Joseph was talking about, I can't imagine that Grambling band has gotten to play in front of 100,000 people very often. And at one point in the press conference, he talked about just how cool that was for his players and for the band and for the program and everything. So yeah, I think that was one of those things where they got out. Sounds like pretty healthy, which that's job one in a game like this. But I think it was a good experience for the Grambling folks, but I think also a really, really fun experience for Ohio State fans and also for a lot of the players who got to get some action.
Yeah, the Ohio State fans were very loud for the Grambling band at halftime. They're very, very supportive. Before the game, as the Ohio State band is marching out of the tunnel, I saw a lot of the members of the Grambling band in the stands recording on their phones, and then the alumni band comes in. You see these people the Grambling band members how many people are there in this band? It's the alumni. Don't worry about it.
These people are so old. Is this 90210? What the heck?
These doctors in this band?
Yeah.
7 years.
Yeah.
So there you go. We'll go ahead and wrap up. If you could hit the thumbs up before we go. If you're watching live right now on YouTube, we'd appreciate it. And of course, when you listen to this later on, a 5-star rating and review would be appreciated. And as always, continue to find us at BuckeyeHuddle.com. Sign up now. Check us out there on the Buckeye Huddle message board presented by Jeffrey Reese Columbus. Would love to chat with you. And again, some big games coming. A nice off week also coming up. But there is no off week when you cover Ohio State and when you want to talk about it. So we were there for you. find us, and love to see you there. So thank you all for tuning in, and we'll talk to you guys later.